Have you ever felt like you keep knocking on doors that never open, as if something invisible was stopping you from moving forward despite all your efforts? And what if I told you there are only two words capable of changing that completely? Words so powerful that when truly understood and felt, they make the impossible yield. This is not another video about affirmations, visualizations, or shallow techniques. Today, we go straight to the source of creation, the root of your spiritual power. What you are about to hear was guarded until Neville Goddard's final days of life, and once you grasp what he revealed, nothing in your life will remain the same. Get ready to access the purest state of divine power, I am. If you're ready for this transformation, write in the comments, I am the open door that nothing and no one can shut. May this affirmation echo as a decree in the universe. Few names have impacted the understanding of reality and consciousness as much as Jacobo Grinberg, a Mexican scientist, neurophysiologist, and student of mystical and shamanic traditions. Grinberg devoted his life to investigating how the human mind constructs what we call reality. He proposed that we do not live in a fixed, objective world, but in an informational field shaped by our perception, a concept he called the neural field. This theory, which unifies science and spirituality, finds resonance in another master of creative mind, Neville Goddard. Neville, known for his teachings on manifestation and consciousness, left in his final words the most powerful revelation of all: God and you are one. He stated that all creation begins with the awareness of being, and that the true name of God dwells within us, revealed in the words, I am. This I am is not a casual expression. It is a creative act that molds reality. Blending Grinberg's scientific rigor with Neville's spiritual depth, this video offers not just a theory, but a real path to transform your life. You do not need to seek the divine outside, you already are. And now it is time to remember. From early on, we are taught to imagine God as a superior, distant entity, dwelling in the heavens and watching our steps from afar. Even if well-intentioned, that image creates an invisible barrier between the divine and the human. And it is precisely this sense of separation that blocks most of the manifestations we long to see in our lives. When you believe God is out there, you automatically place yourself in a position of lack and waiting. Prayers become desperate pleas, requests thrown into the void in the hope that some external force hears you. And if the answer doesn't come, doubt arises. Was I ignored? Do I not deserve it? This cycle of doubt and powerlessness does not come from a lack of faith, but from misplaced faith. Faith based on distance instead of unity. Neville Goddard breaks this paradigm by stating plainly, God is not outside you, God is you. The divine essence dwells at the center of your being, and every time you say, I am, you invoke that power. It is not a metaphor, nor a philosophical abstraction. It is literal. The creative force of the universe pulses within you, waiting only to be recognized. Modern science, in its own way, is beginning to reach the same conclusion by different routes. Jacobo Grinberg showed in his research that the brain is not merely an information processor, but a projector of reality. According to him, what we perceive as the external world is a construction based on how our mind interacts with the neural field, an invisible mesh of information that responds to our consciousness. When we believe God is distant, our mind shapes a reality where divine help feels unreachable. But when we accept that the I am is God manifesting in us, everything shifts. We no longer pray like beggars asking for crumbs from heaven. We begin to declare with conviction what is already ours by origin: health, prosperity, peace, love, abundance. These are not rewards God grants. They are natural extensions of who we are when aligned with our inner truth. Separation is an illusion maintained by millennia of conditioning, and while that illusion persists, you will keep waiting for miracles that can only be performed from within. The true miracle happens when you abandon the idea that you are merely a human trying to reach the divine, and recognize that you are the divine temporarily experiencing humanity. That is where doors open. That is where the impossible starts to move. Because what once was requested is now claimed with authority, and there is nothing more sacred than a human being who finally remembers who they are. 2 words, so simple, so common, and yet able to shape the entire universe when understood clearly. I am is not just an expression of identity. According to Neville Goddard, it is the hidden key of creation, the exact point where the divine and the human meet. When spoken with awareness, these words activate the very power of God, for they are, according to Scripture, the name of the Eternal. In Exodus 3:14, when Moses asks God what name he should give the people, God answers, "I am that I am." This is not an enigmatic phrase, it is a revelation. The name of God is I am. That means every time you pronounce these words, you are invoking the divine identity within yourself. You are accessing the creative matrix of the universe. Neville taught that the most common mistake people make is not in desiring, but in desiring as though they were still separated from what they desire. When someone says, "I want to be healed," they are admitting, vibrationally, that they are not yet healed. The verb to want projects reality into the future, while I am anchors manifestation in the now, the only time in which God operates. The power lies in how you complete the phrase. I am sick, I am tired, I am unlucky. All of these are unconscious yet powerful spiritual affirmations, and no matter how many prayers you say afterward, the universe responds to what you truly believe you are. As Neville said, you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. That is why Jesus never said, "I hope to be the light of the world." He stated clearly, "I am the light of the world." His words were not wishes, they were identity decrees. He understood the source from which he spoke, and in doing so, he manifested heaven on earth. Jacobo Grinberg, from a scientific angle, offered a solid foundation for this understanding. According to him, the brain possesses a perceptual filter, the reticular activating system, that selects which external information reaches your conscious awareness based on what you believe to be true. That means, when you repeat, "I am prosperous," your brain begins to notice opportunities for prosperity it previously ignored simply because it was tuned to another pattern. Therefore, I am is not a wish. It is a spiritual declaration with immediate effect. When you say, "I am healthy," you are telling the universe, "This is my identity. Everything around me must now align with this truth." Creation is not an external process. It begins with your words, and the most powerful verb you can use is not to have, nor to do. It is to be. Because when you are, the world responds. We live in an age of noise. The world shouts, the mind won't stop, demands pile up. In this whirlwind of stimuli, we drift away from what is most essential, the connection with being. Neville Goddard reveals that the purest manifestation of the divine does not happen through complex techniques, but in what many ignore, conscious silence. Saying "I am" in absolute silence is not an exercise in rote repetition. It is a return to the original state of being. Entering quiet, without distractions, without music, without extra words, you abandon the outward search and turn inward, the only place where God truly dwells. This practice begins simply. Sit, breathe, close your eyes, empty yourself of expectation, then gently declare within, "I am." Just that, without completing it, without forcing emotion. Simply listen to the silent vibration that follows the declaration. That vibration is the field where the divine begins to reveal itself. I am in that state is not a desire, it is presence itself. Neville explained that this moment of quiet is like a bell in an empty cathedral. The sound echoes through the entire structure, even into the farthest walls. So it is with I am, spoken in stillness. It reverberates throughout your whole consciousness, dissolving false identities, erasing limitations, reminding you who you really are. Though it seems simple, this practice is profoundly transformative. Because in silence, you are not trying to convince yourself of anything. You are allowing yourself to remember. The mind stops searching for external solutions and begins to recognize that the answer is your essence. And essence does not shout, it whispers with power. Neuroscience has a name for this state, neural coherence. It is the point at which heart rhythms, breathing, and brain activity synchronize. In this alignment, the pineal gland, the spiritual eye, according to many traditions and studied by Jacobo Grinberg, activates. When that happens, you become more sensitive to subtle realities, intuition, and the perception of opportunities that previously seemed invisible. And the doorway is always the same, silence. Not empty silence, but silence filled with presence. When you say, I am in that state, you are not asking, affirming, or declaring. You are simply being. It is in this inner place that true power activates. There is no anxiety, rush, or strain, only a reunion with the divine that lives in you. From there, every other word, affirmation, and action gains another dimension, because now everything is born from the consciousness of being. This is the space where doors once locked begin to open. And you will realize what was missing was never an external miracle. You only needed to return home. After quieting the mind and recognizing the divine presence within, you stand before a powerful choice. What to declare after I am. This moment is sacred because now you understand you are handling the very name of God. Every word that follows I am becomes a creative decree, shaping the invisible structure of the reality you are about to experience. Neville Goddard taught that you must not declare what you want to be, but what you already are, even if your physical senses have not yet registered it. Manifestation does not respond to desire, it responds to assumed identity. The universe does not shape itself around what you want. It reorganizes itself around what you believe yourself to be. Saying, I am healed, I am abundant, I am favored, is not pretending or self-deception. It is spiritual alignment with a higher truth. You are not trying to create something out of nothing. You are accessing a frequency that already exists in the invisible plane, and by feeling it with conviction, that frequency condenses into form. The most common trap is to keep affirming things like, I want to be rich, I hope to be happy, one day I will be loved. These phrases, though seemingly positive, expose a mindset of separation. They keep what you desire far from you as something external, unattainable, future. I am in the present is a quantum collapse of time. It brings what is spiritual into the now, making the invisible visible. Jacobo Grinberg's neural field theory confirms this by stating that our perception filters and organizes reality based on internal vibrational information. When you declare, I am prosperous, you are reconfiguring that field, and consequently, how the world responds to you. Quantum physics likewise suggests that observation and intention are crucial elements in forming reality. And there is no intention more powerful than a declaration forged in spiritual identity and emotional conviction. But here is an essential point. This is not about repeating for repetition's sake. If you say, I am blessed, but deep down feel rejected, needy, or doubtful, the vibration the universe receives is doubt. That is why each affirmation must be infused with emotional truth. You must feel it as already real. Here is the secret. You do not say "I am" to try to believe. You say it because it is already true, even if your reality is still adjusting to it. In doing so, your words cease to be loose phrases floating in the air and become portals of creation. With every "I am" you declare in faith and awareness, you activate an invisible force that begins rearranging the world around you, not by magic, but by spiritual and vibrational law. Imagine for a moment that you have just said, "I am healed, I am abundant, I am free." Now reflect, how would your behavior, posture, and vibration be if you truly believed God had spoken through you? That is the essence of the next step. It is no longer about declaring, but embodying. Once "I am" is uttered consciously, it becomes an invisible command to which reality must respond. Neville Goddard said, "You must not look to the world for confirmation. You must walk as though the word were already made flesh." This means that after declaring a new spiritual identity, you must act as one who already is what you affirmed. If you say, "I am prosperous," yet continue living like someone trapped in scarcity, you are denying with actions what you affirmed with words. In that clash of frequencies, the strongest, usually the old habit, prevails. Living as though God has spoken through you is adopting a state of quiet confidence, not arrogance. It is carrying a firm, unshakable peace that needs no proof to exist. You know the seed has already been planted, and now you move as someone who has already harvested the fruit. Jacobo Grinberg helps us interpret this scientifically. The brain has a system called the reticular activating system, RAS, which filters reality's stimuli according to what you deem relevant. When you affirm something with conviction and live as though it were true, that system starts highlighting paths, signs, people, and opportunities that previously went unnoticed. This is not coincidence. It is the brain responding to the new identity you have assumed. Spirituality calls this loyalty to the inner vision. You do not react to the external world, you respond to what you already know inside. That is why the deepest changes begin without any external sign. Often the world around you still looks the same, but inside something has shifted, and that something initiates the new cycle. At this point, you cease being a spiritual beggar and become a conscious co-creator. Not because you try to control everything, but because you learn to trust what has already been decreed in power. The question, therefore, is not if it will happen. It is, how should I behave now, knowing it already has? And that answer changes everything. When you live as one who has already received, who already is, who has already overcome, you become living proof that "I am" is not just a phrase. It is the word of God echoing through your life. For centuries, science and spirituality walked in opposite directions, one trying to measure the visible, the other seeking the invisible. But Jacobo Grinberg, with courage and brilliance, did what few dared. He built a real bridge between the two worlds. His life and work are scientific confirmation that consciousness not only interprets reality, it creates it. Grinberg deeply investigated the practices of Mexican shamans and ancestral spiritual traditions. Instead of dismissing them as mysticism, he analyzed them through neuroscience and modern physics. The result was a bold, transformative theory: the neural field. This field, he said, is an invisible mesh of information interlinking everything that exists. The reality we perceive is not a fixed structure, but a mental hologram shaped by our beliefs, emotions, and thoughts. This means that by changing how you think and feel, you literally change the field you are projecting as reality. And what does that have to do with "I am"? Everything. When Neville Goddard states that "I am" is the name of God, and that what you declare after those words becomes your experience, he is, in practice, triggering a change in the neural field described by Grinberg. Repeating with conviction, "I am healthy, I am abundant, I am loved. You are not merely saying words, you are reconfiguring the informational matrix that shapes your world. Grinberg also warned about the influence of culture, media, and education on the construction of our perception. He said we live inside a collective perceptual domain, a shared reality created by unconscious mental programming. That explains why so many people feel limited, powerless, trapped in a life they did not choose. They are simply repeating the collective mental pattern of scarcity, fear, and separation. But when someone awakens to the I am, something extraordinary occurs. That person exits the automatic system, the passive conditioning, and begins to operate as an active consciousness that generates, shapes, and directs experience. And this is where science and spirituality meet. What Grinberg called conscious performance in the informational field, Neville called living from the end, and Scripture calls faith. Both, the scientist and the mystic, arrived at the same conclusion. Reality is malleable and you are the mold. Therefore, uniting Neville's I am with Grinberg's neural field yields a powerful revelation. You are the conscious creator of your experience. The verb, the emotion, and the focus are not merely spiritual, they are quantum tools. And when used wisely, there is no door that stays closed. Now that you have understood the true power contained in the words, I am, the most important moment has arrived. Application. It is not enough to understand intellectually. You must live as one who already knows God dwells within. Each day, before acting, before reacting, before sleeping, return to center. Return to silence and repeat with awareness, I am. Choose a powerful truth to declare in faith. It might be, I am complete, I am guided, I am prosperous. But do not say it like someone who wants. Say it like someone who remembers. Allow these words to shape your posture, your thoughts, your choices. Walk as one who already is. Speak as one who already has. Live as one who already knows. Because you are. If this content touched you, subscribe to the channel. Activate notifications to receive more videos like this, uniting spirituality, science, and real transformation. And leave your comment below with your affirmation of the day as a vibrational decree that will echo in the field of infinite possibilities. Right now, I am what God declares I am. And watch, doors that were closed will begin to open. Because when you align with the I am, nothing remains as before.